We'll start in 1 minute. Good morning, everybody. As we start a new week, a new
Good
parsha,
morning, Rabbi.
Parshas Vayishlach. Vayishlach Yaakov Malachim Lifanav. As we come also closer to Yud Kislev, this coming Shabbos, we finished Tanya, started Tanya for new. Okay, good morning, everybody. Let's start off on Parshas Vayishlach, the portion of Vayishlach. My friends, we're holding in Genesis chapter 32, chapter 32, verse number 4. Vayishlach Yaakov Malachim. So Yaakov left his father-in-law's home and he went back to Eretz Yisrael. And the Torah tells us, Vayishlach Yaakov Malachim lefanev al Esav. Yaakov sent angels to Esav, Arza Seir, to the land of Seir's, De Edom, to the fields of Edom. So Rashi says this was Esav's territory. So Rashi Vayishlach Yaakov Malachim Mamish. It was not, you can translate Malachim as messengers, or you can translate Malachim as Malachim, angels. Arza Seir, so Rashi says, let it Seir, to the land of Seir. Vayitzav Oisam Leiman, he commanded them. This is what you said. You tell my brother Esav, my master Esav. This is what your servant Yaakov says. In Lavan Gaiti, I've lived with Lavan. And I have tarried or waited until now. This is 22 years later. So Rashi says, Galti is an interesting word. Sojourned. He says, listen, you have nothing to worry about. I've been a stranger. I've not become any big dignitary. I've been a stranger. You don't have any worth. There's no reason you should hate me. You're worried about the blessings of your father, of our father that blessed us. I should be a master of our brothers. When this guy being nothing, this hasn't been fulfilled. So don't worry. I'm still a schlepper. I'm schlepping around. Dovaracha. Another interpretation, she says, Garti begamati tayag. Garti, the word Garti is 613. Kalaima. Im lavan harasha Garti. With love and harasha, I have lived. V'tayag mitzvah shamarti. And I kept every one of the 613 commandments. I did not learn from his wicked ways. So I'm a pretty strong character. Verse number 6. I have acquired an oxen and donkeys, flocks and maidservants and manservants and maidservants. And I've sent this to tell me you're my master to find favor in his eyes. So Rashi says, v'chamer is singular. First of all, the blessing was I'm going to get from the dew of the heaven and the fat of the land. That means I'll be a landowner. And I'm not a landowner. I have flock. I own no land. And this is not from the heavens and not from the earth. Shoi v'chamer, so Rashi says singular. Derech eretz, this is a modesty to say a many oxes, a many sheep, many oxes and many cows, to say one. Adam as is a custom, a person says that the rooster crowd at night, in the morning, night. It doesn't say the roosters. It says the rooster. It says like he has only one rooster. So Rashi says, I've sent this message. What? To tell him that I am coming home. To find pleasing in her eyes, that I am seeking love. I'm not seeking any fights. I'm not coming home to fight with you. I'm coming home to make friendship and to have peace in the house. Verse 7. Yeshuva Alochem Yaakov Laman, the angels came back to Jacob saying, Banu Elachicha, we came to your brother, El Esav. He's Esav. And he's coming towards you, just like you sent him, he's coming towards you. And he has 400 men with him. So Rashi says, Banu Elachicha El Esav, why'd say double, your brother Esav? Everybody knows his brother. He only had one brother. So Rashi says, you say he's your brother, but he is not your brother. He is Esav. He's continuing to be like Esav, and he hates you. Yaakov was very, very frightened. And he was distressed. And he split the people that was with him. And he split the flock and the cattle and the camels, the shtei machnes, into two camps. So Rashi says, why is it two expressions of fear and distress? So Rashi says, Vayira Hashem Yehareg, he was frightened he might be killed, and he was distressed that he might kill others. And he said, Im Yaveh Esav, verse 9. He said, Im Yaveh Esav if Esav will come to the first camp, Viko, and he will smite it and destroy the first camp, the rest will run. So Rashi says, it's very interesting, Rashi, that we find the machne, camp. We find a few words in Hebrew that are both masculine and feminine. The word machne is both masculine and feminine, as we find in two verses. The word machne is two things. Shemesh, we find also the sun. Shemesh in Hebrew is both masculine and feminine. Ruach, spirit, is also found as both masculine and feminine. And we also found the word Eish in Hebrew. Eish is both masculine and feminine. So camp, sun, and spirit, and Eish are used in Hebrew as both masculine and feminine. There's many interpretations to why these four words, only these four words, are found in Scripture to both be masculine and feminine. So Rashi says, the rest of the camp will run. So Rashi says, against his will, because I will wage war with him. So he prepared himself for three things. He prepared himself for a gift. Gave him all his cattle. He's going to give him a gift. He prepared himself with prayer. He prayed, as you'll soon see. And he was ready to go to war. So Yaakov Avinu prepared himself on all these three fronts. And this is his prayer. Verse number 10 is Yaakov's prayer. Yaakov said, the God of my father Abraham, the God of my Isaac. Hashem God who said to me, return to your land, to your birthplace, and I will be with you. So Rashi says, but elsewhere he writes the fear of Isaac. Over here he wrote God of Isaac. Moreover, why did he repeat the scripture? He should have said, the one who said to me, return to your land. Why does he repeat the God's name? So rather, so Jacob says before the Holy One, bless me, you gave me two promises. One when I left my father's house from Beersheba, when you said to me, I am the Lord your God of Abraham, your father, and the God of Isaac. And there you said to me, and I'll guard you wherever you go. And in Laban's house, you said to me, return to the land of your forefathers and your birthplace, and I will be with you. There you revealed to me with God's name, Yud-Kei Vavkei, the tetragram, Yud-Kei Vavkei. For it's Yud-Kei Vavkei is the name of God of Chesed, of kindness. And as it says, the Lord, Yud-Kei Vavkei, said to Jacob, return to the land of your forefathers. So the previous time, maybe you used the word different name of God, but over here you use the name of God, which is Yud K Vav K, the name, the tetragram, which is the past, present, future, which also symbolizes the concept of chesed, of kindness and mercy. You made a pact that you would do this to me. Nevertheless, verse 11, I become small from all your kindness, mikala emes, and for all your truth, which you have done for your servant. Because only with a staff I crossed over this Jordan. And now I have two camps. Now she says, even though I'm begging you, my merits have been diminished because of the kindness that you and the truth that you have rendered to me. Therefore, I fear least I have become sullied and sinned since you made a promise to me. So even though you made a promise, maybe I've sinned. I am but small for all the kindness, and therefore maybe my kindness, the kindness you have shown to me, has taken away from my merits. Mikol ha'emes, from the realization of your words, that you kept with me all promises you have made to me. Kibim makli. I had but neither silver nor gold nor livestock, but only my staff. The Medrash Haggadah says he placed the staff in the Jordan, and the Jordan split. So here, Yaakov Avinu made a miracle. Kibim makli, with my stick, I split the Jordan. Now those who say that this is the stick that Moshe Rabbeinu also had, this was a stick that was the stick of Abraham, the stick of Adam and Ishon, the stick of Jacob, and now later on it's become the famous stick, the famous rod which Moshe Rabbeinu used to split, to do all the miracles. This famous rod is this stick. Verse number 12. Please save me, deliver me from the hand of my brother, from the hand of Esau. I'm very afraid. I'm very afraid. Ben Yaveh v'Ikani Eim Albanim, he might come and strike and kill mothers and children. So now she says, Miyad Achi, Miyad Esav, Miyad Achi she'eino imi ka'ach, for my brother who's not acting like a brother. Ela ke'esav HaRasha, he's still acting like Esav the Rasha. Ata Marti, verse 13. And you said, Heitiv Eitiv imach, I will surely do good with you. And you'll make my seed numerous as a sea, which cannot be counted because of its multitude. I'm going to be good because of your merits. I will be good to you because of the merits of your ancestry. I'll make your offspring like the sand of the sea. Now, where did he tell him this? Where do we see this? It's not that he said to him only, and your seed shall be like the dust of the earth. But but he said to him, for I will not forsake until I've done what I've spoken concerning about you. So even though he didn't tell him that he's going to be like this, like the sand of the sea, he told it to Abraham. And when he told it to Abraham, he told it automatically about Jacob. So that's what he said. You told me I'm going to be like the dust of the earth. But you told him I'm going to be like the sand. And that blessing falls on me. Isaac gave that blessing to me. So, and by Abraham, you said, I will surely bless you, and I will surely multiply your seed as the stars of the heaven and as the sand of the seashore. And that completes the Chumash of the day. We will now go to the Tanya of the day. We finished yesterday the fourth essay. We go into the fifth essay, which is a continuation of the fourth essay, which Alter Rebbe talks about the learning of the laws of Torah and the power of doing mitzvahs. We are gonna the Tanya. We have another the Tanya. We finished the Tanya this week, and as we come to the we finished Tanya actually on the 18th day of this Friday. We finished the entire book, and in Mitzvah we start again the Tanya new on Shabbos. We start the 19th day of Kislev. So, as I mentioned before, these are very Kabbalistic parts of the Tanya. You need to just listen in and soak it in, the Kabbalistic terminology that is mentioned at the end of the Tanya. So, Alter Rebbe, let's just listen in and let's try to get what we can glean from it. Let us understand how this applies to the details of the law that never occur at all. And the act possibly never actually exists. Because, and if they never exist, they will never exist. Why? Because they will not be, they'll not happen in the future. These things will not happen. If they didn't happen in the past, they will never happen in the future, because we won't have the Yetzer Hara in the future. We won't do a lot of the laws of the Torah. As for details of pigel is when a person specifically had an evil thought and a sacrifice. Never happened. It was never recorded that such a thing ever happened. And it's surely never going to happen when Mashiach comes and will bring karbanos. Nobody will intentionally have an evil thought in the bringing of a carbon. As is known, every prohibition thing in the world, every prohibition in the Torah, things in this world, has a source and rooted in the life of klipot. Klipot are the klipa is a covering, and that's an aveda. An aveda, a sin, is a covering. A negative commandment is a covering, and that's why this tshuva takes away the covering. And so to this karbanos, take away the covering. So we have klippa. So even though you don't have the avera in actuality in this world, but there's a klippa lamaila, there's a klippa, there's a covering above, which is called pigel. And this covering can happen today in many different forms. So the Alter Rebbe says, otherwise it could not exist in this world. So everything, if without the flow from above, everything has its connection above, good and bad. So you have, that's why we learned in Tanya, we have klippas noiga, a covering that shines. You have klippas temeis, shalosh klippas temeis, 3 levels of impurity that cannot shine. So you have certain avedas you can do tshuva on. You have certain avedas that are very difficult and extremely, there's no karbanos, is extremely difficult to overcome. And you can learn this. In the Rambam, it talks about the levels of tshuva. For example, even one who crinkles his ear, so what are the negative things in the halacha that Alter Rebbe wants to find something that people do? Everybody plays with their hair. Masal Sabasari will soon come to the story of Yosef. Joseph played with his hair, angered God that he played with his hair. He was busy worrying about the beauty of his hair. So it's like vanity a little bit. Ukai Gavna received his life force from the spiritual chambers of Klippas. And so that the people of Asalsa Besade, people, especially men that play and they're worried about their hair, they are basically, they receive their life force from Klippas, from this place of hiddenness, as explained in Zayt. Hilkov, therefore, therefore, even practical prohibition never became a practical issue in this physical world. Still, their roots and their life force, they actually exist in the spirit. They exist in the chambers of klippas. In the chambers, in the chambers of coverings, and even the particular instance that's possible never did, and never will actually occur. For example, errors and unwitting misdeeds, like when tithing erroneously, calling the 9th sheep the 10th sheep, and the like. So if a person that calls the 9th sheep the 10th sheep, it's supposed to be the 10th sheep. And by mistake, he called the 9th sheep the loishai b'meilid. Kind eventually that cannot be deliberately and thereby cause a klippa to light upon it. And possibly in these circumstances. It does not exist in the chambers of clippers. So the question is, how is it? Alter Rebbe writes, God, that Tzemach Tzedek, his grandson, writes in God, inserted a note inserted by the Tzemach Tzedek, a blessed memory, third Lubavitcher Rebbe. It appears to me that the Alter Rebbe, my grandfather, uses the word possibly, implying uncertainty, because unwitting errors derive from Noiga. It may therefore be said that the ordinance is in the claimers, in the chambers of Noiga. So in the chambers of Noiga, there's chambers of Klippa, there's a Klippas Noiga. Klippas Noiga is a Klippa that shines. So maybe in that area there is Klippas, that this situation is found in there. And that's what the Alter Rebbe says, possibly. In any event, it does not exist in the Klippas, at least, keeping in mind the distinction between the sacred and the profane, in the supernal wisdom that issued, Befrat Zela Moshe Rabbeinu, that was issued and descended to Moshe Rabbeinu Allah Shalom in detail to Moses at Mount Sinai. Kemaim, as the sages express, Ma Shetal Mavasa Asal Chadish. Whatever teaching any seasoned student will one day innovate was already taught by Moshe Rabbeinu on Mount Sinai. So all these laws were taught on Moshe Mount Sinai. The whole protei by the Rabbi Yirmiyah. Likewise, all the questions of Rabbi Yirmiyah, who Rabbi Yirmiyah in the Gemara, he posed many hypothetical possibilities that brought into the study. All you learn Gemara, a lot of the Gemara is hypothetical questions. Hypothetical questions that never happen, that never will happen. But the Gemara poses it. Nevertheless, the Gemara deals with hypothetical situations. And it's brought in the Gemara in detail, such as she's wrapped him in chulin. So whole Gemara talks about the concept of an animal wrapping itself in another animal. If that's possibility of one animal coming out of the body of the womb and with other animals wrapped around it. Is it a bechor? Who's a bechor? It's not possible, these situations. It never happened, and it's impossible to happen. But the Gemara nevertheless asks all these questions that are hypothetical, cannot happen, but the Gemara still asks the question. Why? For the extension of the supernal will that is vested in the laws of Torah is infinite. Since the infinite is actually clothed within them. So since an halacha in Torah law, you have the concept of infinity, so then to infinity, everything is possible. There's nothing to infinity that's impossible. Can you take an elephant and put it through a pinhole? Could be a question in the Gemara. Because to the Eibishter, yes, you can take an elephant and put it through a pinhole. Because the Eibishter is infinite. And therefore, nothing is out of the realm of God's wisdom. So if you say the Torah is God's wisdom, which God is infinite, so therefore, there's no such thing as hypothetical. So even though in the physical world, this is hypothetical, but to God, everything is reality. Every particular of the law is gate drawn from the supernal will. The served by the Mishubah with the foundation of the daughter is clothed within it. The daughter is Torah Shebek Balpet. The daughter Chachma is Torah Shebek Sav. The written law is Torah Shebek the father. The daughter, which is Malchus, which everything comes in it. Malchus is Torah Shebek and the oral law, and everything comes in to the oral law. Everything comes in to the daughter. From it, from Malchus of Atzilus, it comes into Chachma to Bria, to the world of Bria, to the world of creation, to the world of Yitzir, the world of formation, the world of action. It's known that the nature of the clippers, the Yitzfiris, the Kedusha. They derive from the hinder parts of the 10 spheres of holiness. And more specifically, for the garments of the 10 sfirot of the world of creation, the world of formation, the world of action, more than capability to receive their life force. From the Atzilus, they receive their life force from the lower 3 worlds, Frati, Tzidavasi, and especially the lower 2 worlds, the world of formation and the world of action, where there you have intermingle of klippas of the hidden part of the covers. So therefore, in that world, you have the capability, which is called Yunika Sachatzoinim, that klippas, that klippas, the other side of holiness can get its life force. As it's known, that they nurture, derives from the state of garments. Therefore, through that we learn the laws of the Torah with speech and thought, they become separated. We take away the Enika Sechatzoinim. We take away the klippas, its life force. As it's brought down in Tikkunim and Ayimhem and Kabbalah, to separate the klippas of holiness through the Torah study. So that's one of the beauties of learning Torah, and especially the laws of Torah, which is connected, which the laws of Torah come down into the lower levels. So that now you understand how the Rebbe says why in the Gemara they talk hypotheticals. And specifically, they try to figure out hypotheticals laws, which is impossible to happen. Because we want the Gemara, Torah Shabbal Peh, the oral law, wanted to cleanse all the worlds. This also will understand what the Gemara says. Why did why was the land of Israel destroyed? For they did not recite the blessing before the Torah study. Very interesting Gemara. Let's lead over here. The inner meaning of this is that people of those times, the times of the second Beis Hamikdash, second temple, failed to draw down the infinite light into the study of Torah. Bracha, berech, is a root for the holy tongue, means blessing, signifies drawing down. Evil cannot be separated from good by the Torah alone and must be studied in a proper manner. And they didn't make a bracha. They didn't bless God. So they studied it for their selfish reasons. And if they studied for the selfish reasons and not for the proper reasons, they did not separate the klippas. And that brought about a great catastrophe. Through Chachma, they are sorted out through the infinite light that is drawn within it. It's Chachma. That's why we have to use our Chachma. We're going to go look Kabbalistic. This light is drawn into the supernal wisdom of the supernal likeness of man, who is also occupied with laws above. So when Kabbalah says man below is an offshoot of man above, there is a premortal man, and this is off. It bounces off one of the other. So if I learn Torah here in the world, the upper man learns Torah, and he refines the worlds above, and I refines the worlds below. Shosh in its source, Nukva, which is Malchus, feminine of Zah in Bri. Now, thus we understand the requirement of every nefesh, ruach, neshama, every human being to fulfill all the 613 commandments in thought, deed, and speech. Every one of us has to do all these commandments, not only in action, but in thought and in speech. That means even if I did a mitzvah and I didn't ultimately do it in thought, I didn't have chachma, I didn't have understanding, or I didn't say it, I didn't learn it, the mitzvah, I'm going to have to tzich love and the gelulim. I'm going to have to come down again. And that's where we come down again and again and again, to be able to finish Torah, b'pshat, remesh, drush, soid, because we need to finish the Torah. We need to acquire the Torah. Every one of our neshamas needs to acquire the Torah in simple meaning and illusion and homiletic and secret. Why? Because our neshama came down to the world to sort out and refine all that pertains in them among the 288 sparks that constitute the complete structure of man. The Yag Birchin is closer, but the same, the 613 categories generally in particular that relate to each soul. I will also love it. What's going to happen when Mashiach comes? When refinement is accumulated, so we'll finish. Mashiach comes, that's all we're going to do, is only going to work in the form of do good. To continue to take our soul and to travel infinitely higher. God's ain't safe, infinite, so the good will keep on going. And also with regard to the study of the 365 prohibitions, we're going to continue to learn it, even though we're not going to ever do an Avera. When Mashiach comes, we'll not do a sin, but we'll continue to learn the 365 commandments the way they are in their source, in the Buddhist Hakadeshas, in the attributes of severity. We'll hamtikam, and we'll sweeten them up through our learning the 365 commandments. When Mashiach comes, we'll sweeten them above. We'll sweeten them through the attributes of kindness that are in the 248 positive commandments, and to infuse them as one. Therefore, the entire Torah is thus eternal in its general and its detail. It never will cease. Not in these days, not in the Mashiach comes, never ending, because everything is lamaila. Whatever is here lamata is lamaila. It's beautiful Tanya today. All of them have a source above in the 5 holy attributes, severity, the 365 negative commandments. Just as the 365 prohibitions themselves, as they are above, Adam in the state, as they are above in the state of blood that animates the organs and the vessels of Zah in the world of Atzilus, Bria, Yitzira, and Asiya. And that completes the Chumash and the Tanya of the day. Today is the 13th day in the month of Kislev. You should say the Tillim, starting from chapter 69, 70, 71, and you have done your Tillim. 69, 70, and 71 is the Tillim of the day. Have a wonderful, beautiful day. If anybody wants to come, today at 10 o'clock, we are going to continue to learn the Tanya. We're holding in Tanya. We're starting a new chapter, chapter 51, I believe. Chapter 51 of Tanya. Have a wonderful, beautiful day. We'll see you tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Continue the learning of Chidas.
Thank you, Rabbi.